Welcome to this episode of Chatting with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today I got Scott, Skidz, Alford.
It was a short run. I didn't like it. I didn't care for it. I like that this is our home, and this is the place where we hang our hat. As much as I can comment on that is I've never seen a Hell's Angel in the city of Philadelphia with my own eyes. I know that at times members from their New Jersey chapter were crossing the bridge in New Hope, which is a popular hanging area for independent riders and clubs as well. They would ride over, take a picture at a bar, and then post it on a Facebook page if they could do it, and then head quickly back over to New Jersey. I mean, I don't have time for that kind of games. But to date, I've never run into a Hells Angels member in the city of Philadelphia wearing his colors. I've seen a guy wearing support colors that was on a run from Alberta, Canada, where they have a stronghold. I ran into him in Philadelphia back when I was a Northeast rider, and he was down here hiding out. And that was all he was doing. Yeah, they're not well liked here. They're not welcome here, and I don't think they have any interest on the things that would be necessary for them to take a stronghold of any kind in Philadelphia.
So you weren't a pagan at this time, but do you remember when Tommy left the Pagans and joined the Angels?
I do. I don't particularly remember him leaving the Pagans, as I wasn't that closely associated. I knew a couple of guys and I hung out with them, but I didn't do anything club event at the time. But I don't think there's anybody in the city that isn't familiar with what happened there.
And then eventually they disband their clubhouse and they move out of the city of
Never to return. Never to return.
Do you think they'll ever have another clubhouse there in the future?
No, would be my gut reaction. What I would have to put an asterisk next to that is the way that the laws are being written now. This is not the same lifestyle as it once was. And that's sad. It is, because, we had our own lifestyle. There was never a time when a brother would pick up a phone and hit 911. We don't invite the police into any of our problems. We handle our own. I can't say the same for, the civilian population. Sometimes may call, they get scared, and they call and they invite them into the situations. That happens. But on the whole, the laws have changed now to the framework of what's being done locally. I mean, three people could concede that they're going to steal the hat off someone's head, and it's 25 years apiece for RICO charges. They've really, when I say outlaws, they've just made it so difficult for the most peaceful party could turn into something that it was never meant to be. And not off violence, just off of, you've seen it happen with my case, words. Words in this country used to be something that we were free to use. That's no longer the case. You getting a punch, you get attacked by somebody in a bar, you could be just John Civilian, and out of fear and anger, you defend yourself and you say some bad words, and you'll wind up with a hate crime in an additional 15 years now. And there used to be a time when if I took a ride up to Connecticut and you and I had words in a bar, we could step in a parking lot and handle it like men. And I'll tell you right now, Bill, throughout my 55 years on the planet, some of my closest friends I met this way. Groups get into a scuffle in a bar, and next thing you know, punches are being thrown, and then 10 minutes later, shots are being done, and we're exchanging phone numbers, and we hang out forever as great friends. And that's something that's only built inside of a club framework or military. And military guys will tell you the same stories all over the world. When guys went to Germany, they'd have run-ins with Germans over there and or wherever they may be. And that's how people get to know one another. That's part of communication. It's part of the natural instinct that man has. And what the police have done now is you and I get in a scuffle and we go back in, they show up behind us and say you two were the guys wrestling in the parking lot. Oh no, we're good now. We got over it. Yeah, well, too bad. We're going to press charges now and make an issue out of it. And it becomes, that's what they're doing to make numbers for themselves. The inflated crime numbers that we see in America, and of course, I'm not talking about these weird shootings and God bless all those people that lose lives. How anybody can target children and innocent people is beyond me. I don't understand it. But the regular crime numbers in every city in America are inflated so badly and so slantedly, and it's to do nothing but drum up more budgets for these headed to being paramilitary organizations that we like to call local police. And I'm not saying there's not good I don't badmouth police for a living. I was raised by an uncle. I didn't have a father, as I mentioned, and my uncle and my cousin were very well-known cops in New Jersey. And but that was a different time. That was when that was a job. Now it's more of an organization that, if I write up things a certain way over 12 months, when my town does its budget hearing, they're going to see crime differently than it really is. And I can get my two cousins jobs. And now them guys will get in, and they got their applications at the ready. You know what I mean? Next budget hearing, when they hear all the arrests we made, there might be no convictions behind any of those arrests. But I know from lifelong friends in the Philadelphia Police Department, they'll write up a guy with a crack pipe, which, there used to be millions of them sleeping homeless in the streets. They'll write a guy up as a kingpin drug dealer, all kind of slanted charges. There might be 15 charges on a simple paraphernalia situation. That case will never make it to court. At the end of the day, the guy gets let go with a $50 fine. But when the city hall sees the arrest, they don't know what happened with it.
Yeah.
They don't know if it was dismissed. So they're writing their own checks. And I understand it. It makes perfect sense as a cop. You're going to get paid more every year, and you're going to hire more guys, and you're going to get better equipment, and you're going to get better exposure. And I'm not saying some of these guys aren't heroes. I'm not taking away from any of that. Certainly they are, and they put their lives out there every day. I got respect for that. And I'm not saying we need anarchy in this country, and I'm not asking for the Pagans to take control or anything silly like that. I'm just saying it's just overinflated. And it keeps the Brady Bunch parents who don't leave the house much and just watch these television shows and these local news networks, who are just fed this footage day in and day out in these stories. And they read the headline. They never care what happened with the case behind it, and just go, oh, my God, we have a problem in this city. We have a problem in this city. And, it's not necessarily true. It's not necessarily true. If anything, we've become watered down as a humanity. Violence is really not, kids today can't fight. You show me two teenage kids fighting anywhere in America that are doing it right, and I'll show you something that's very rare to see on tape, and which is maybe why they're picking up guns. And they're not very much skilled at using those either.
No.
I'm not here to answer the problems of the world, but I'm here to tell you that's how the business of policing works. And it goes from the cop that's putting the handcuffs on you all the way down to the teletype girl in the county jail, the court staff, the hundreds of thousands of people who've taken up careers in corrections and are now driving around in Porsches and Escalades. That used to be a regular guy job. And now it's become a free way to just get lots of money by warehousing people.
Yeah, and you get paid from it.
Yeah, you can draw lines, Germany off this. I know that sounds drastic, but I mean, is it really? Is it really? It's not the gruesome, murder of thousands of people. I understand that, but you're literally raising these people in cages and having their families pay ransom through Globotel. I know Globotel, who runs every jail in America, and that's your telephone calls home. Billions of dollars, because it's in essence it's ransom is what it is. It's a slow way of paying ransom on getting your loved one home or communicating with your father in jail or your son in jail. And you're seeing a direct result of that on the streets of America with these adult males that are doing their time in prison, and their kids are being raised without fathers. It's hurtful. It's hurtful to the society. It's where it all began. It's where it's all gone wrong. And we don't seem to be doing anything to correct it. We seem to be just making it more and more of a standpoint that the cops and the judicial systems are the number one business in America, man, warehousing people. And people are jumping on board with it. Corporations are getting behind it, privatizing jails. It, it if you said it 50, 60 years ago, you'd be called. But I guess if you dress up anything in the right marketing and play the right song behind it in America, people will go for it. It's wrong, and my case is a perfect example of it. It's a perfect example of a cop that was just out of control.
Now, when you were prospecting, did you have any run-ins with the law?
I did not. Never had a problem. Here in the city of Philadelphia, they'll beep a siren at us. They wave. There was a time, I'm going to say it was 2020, when the New Hampshire State Police picked up a flyer from the Hells Angels, and it was calling for the on-site shooting of any Pagans members. And it went out nationwide to all this local state police, and it was passed on to myself. And as sergeant, we took measures here. Orders were given for guys to wear vests. No one wears colors and rides alone. But for a felon, wearing a bulletproof vest is as bad as carrying an AK-47. That'll get you 15 years just as quickly as a gun will. I remember the flyer. I think I still have it somewhere on my phone. And reading that, and I'm thinking to myself, this is going to make the average idiot strap two guns to his hip and go out looking for them, and the police are going to jump every one of us, was when my initial gut reaction was. And instead it wasn't. I rode around the city wide open. That's me. I'm not going to hide from anybody at any time. I didn't ride with a partner. I rode alone. I rode colors. I'm just going to do all those things. They're not going to change the way that I do anything. No one will ever do that.
But you weren't a member at the time, right?
I was a member when this flyer went out. Yeah, I was a young member at the time, and say it was 2020. I remember it pretty distinctly. I remember where I was when I got the flyer.
What year did you join the Pagans?
I became a pagan on April 3rd of 2020. So I remember it being the summer of 2020 that I got this flyer, and I'd have to go through my phone, which nobody wants to see me do that for hours. But I will find it, and I'll pass it along to you when I do.
Okay.
And the Philadelphia police were rolling up on us, in front of local bars that we hang out at, sitting on a bike having a cigarette, and they, pull up. You guys good? It's good to see you out here, man. Because they had targeted, whoever released that press release had targeted law enforcement clubs that also fail to fall under the regime of that club, can also be treated in the same regards as all pagan members. And, the legitimacy of that letter, whether or not it was, that's not for me to decipher. The safety of the members around me were the only care I had in the world at that time when that went out. But for it to come from the state police and then come through the channels that it came through with our club and then wind up directly in my hands, I don't have any kind of authority to question whether or not it's real. And I don't think anybody would be a fool to think twice on any kind of threat like that.
Yeah, that's crazy. So,
yeah, I mean, that's where we're at. And, it's an easy thing to put on paper and put out there and strike fear in people and get people aggravated. But at the end of the day, once again, nothing happened.
So what was it like when you finally got your patch?